Hello, and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to go over Infiltration Shadow. In this match, we do have a pre-made on our team and a pre-made on an enemy team. I didn't really plan on uploading this one, but I figured I might as well, just have footage out, just like the last one. Again, these matches aren't all up to my standards, but I'm sure you guys can forgive me, because this one's at least interesting, even though it's kind of not completely fair. And I also am playing a spec that I don't really get footage on, which definitely, at least in my opinion, alone deserves an upload, because it's been a while since I've done a deception / infiltration. I'm running Shadowcraft, Second Wind, and I'm also running AoE Discharge. I've been wanting to try AoE Discharge for quite a long time, and recently I've been trying it a little bit, but most of the time I'm not getting fights. Like, I'll just clear the team. DPS will be like 12 to 14k. It's very boring. Half the match I'm not even fighting anybody, because if we just clear them and there's just nothing to do. This is like the first time that I actually run into a situation where they're not completely cleared like the whole time, and actually still like try the fight, so that's pretty good. Anyway, basically, if you wanted to play this, it's really not hard, but also at the same time, all you gotta do really is just stack your discharge over and over. Make sure you at least use lacerating or full attack slash, or I can't remember what it's called on Republic, but basically it would be my 3 or my C in this case, and just send that and then go into AoE Discharge. Very simple. I love the change to AoE Discharge. It actually makes it so much more useful. Discharge used to be like the core burst ability that you had for like a really long time, and they kind of like made them all and Reef and Strike a lot better. So seeing like an AoE Discharge is like super cool, because that gives it some power, and also gives you some power in AoE that you previously lacked. Anyway, for the most part, you don't really get to see too much going on. You also have the option to run damage reduction talent with this kind of like setup, and you still do like a crap ton of damage. And you also become really tanky. You become really good in general just at dealing with sorcerers. And with that DR, it also includes internal and elemental, so some of those dot specs, like, you'll be able to handle them better, but also just in general, sorcerer will be easier for you to deal with. You can also just not take the DR and die really fast and not care, which is what I do, is I don't really care. Honestly, if you kill me, I get back in stealth, so that means I can do a free stride opener, so it's whatever. I didn't really try to survive, but it's not necessarily that I need to in this situation, because they can hit me, but for the most part they can't do much about what I'm doing. As there is a healer, and on top of that, there's like bigger targets. At least they think there are bigger targets, which is just the attraction of shiny flares, I guess you could say. Had there not been flares on my team, that probably would have been a little bit different. But also, people just want to kill Juggernauts because, they are relatively efficient and they have a lot of control, so usually those are the first. It's not like Assassin's usually always the first picked out, unless people really want to kill that person. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good New Year's. I probably won't get this out until after New Year's, so I hope you guys had a good New Year. Gone is 2023, here we are in 2024. It's kind of crazy to think about, because it's still technically New Year's Eve for me right now. I do have to work tomorrow, which sucks. Not a big deal though. I like money. Everybody likes money. Especially since I've got a really nice place to live now. I would say going from so I've lived in like East Coast like all my life, but going up here where I am, I'm like super close to Canada, and there's also like these things called cheese curds. I never had them before. Honestly, I thought they were talking about like how like milk curdles in the jug. Absolutely disgusting. I was like, why would you want like curdled up cheese? That sounds disgusting. Like, couldn't you have named it something else? Because it's essentially, I'm pretty sure, like fried cheese or whatever when it's still maturing or something. I'm like, why don't you just call it fried cheese or something? Like, why curd? That's such a gross word. And when I first tried it, it was actually extremely good. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I'm a fan of cheese, but it was definitely interesting. So if you guys ever have a chance, if you like cheese, you definitely have to try cheese curds. Also, another reason, by the way, that I run Second Wind is for the mobility. The healing is obviously great, but the healing is like massive, and I'm also running the percent heal on using abilities, so this basically makes it so that no matter how hard I go into my single target rotation, I basically never run out of force, like no matter how hard I try. I would have to spam Lacerate like 15 times in a row to run out of force and just not stealth. So for the most part, like you don't even have force issues either, so you're able to spam the single target rotation, which is priority for getting your discharge up as much as you need it. And for those wondering, yeah, this is kind of like how like older PvP used to be. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we're not playing objective. Well, if any of us were to go hit the objective right now, all these people would be immediately on you. So sometimes it's not always good to make yourself a target, especially if you can't handle it. The TTK is pretty short for the most part, so making yourself a target is not like the greatest if you actually have the opportunity to do enough damage to basically make some breathing room for your team. That class is like the stealther here, like he's not very good at team fighting, so obviously he'd probably be better on the other side trying to get the door or attacking, but you know, you get the idea. His role is not very useful. He could just sit there and try the fight. If he was playing something similar to me, he probably could do a little more, but he's not. So in like situations like that, you do have classes that are just not very good at team fighting, and that's just the way it is. It'd be cool if they would change Heat Seeker to the auto crit again, because the AoE Heat Seeker, it looks so good, but it hits like nothing. If we had auto crit on AoE Heat Seeker, that would be just insane to think about. I really don't think it would be that busted, because a lot of the damage that Arsenal does is single target, and a lot of it is damage that just like goes through defenses. Doesn't matter if you're tanked, doesn't matter if you're like pyro PT, it'll shred you. So therefore it doesn't do a lot of damage like overall, but it does a lot of effective damage, and effective damage is a lot more important, because that means you can effectively kill anybody with that kind of damage. And when it's played properly, you can still do good overall damage. Anyway, getting into it, my stats are pretty similar to what I usually run. I'm running 5% accuracy, running a stim for accuracy, around 4800 critical, which is the correct DR for deception and infiltration. And then I'm also running, what do you call it? Mostly mastery afterwards, but I can't really afford any mastery like augments, I don't think. So I'm at like 28 or 2088 alacrity, I believe it is. And like one difference I would say is like if I'm playing PT, I slap on stimulated as a second wind, and obviously with the set bonus, I've accidentally been playing PT with stimulated and second wind on accident. I'm doing a lot of damage with it, but it's just because I keep forgetting to swap my implants correctly. Like sometimes I'm just like not paying attention, and yeah, I've had the unlucky situations of doing that, and I still do a lot of damage with it, and it's mostly just because I'm artificially increasing people's lives by doing, you know, 10% less damage 50% of the time. If I did that little extra damage, it definitely would kill, but because it's not killing, I'm actually able to do still a considerable amount of damage because I'm technically fluffing damage rather than actually doing life-threatening damage. Which obviously, you know, having your set bonus is gonna matter a lot in situations like, let's say 10% more extra damage in a 8-man stack during fuel and carbon ice. Like that's gonna make a huge a huge difference. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about Deception or Infiltration or anything like that, it's not one of my favorite classes, but I do play Assassin a lot, and I've always played like a lot of it. I don't really like the pruning 2 class, but I think this is definitely one of the specs that I do like for Deception. I've always wanted more AoE, and this kind of offers it, but also at the same time I still like its single target a lot, so like 2 cloaks and just going full single target still feels very good, so I'm not really complaining. It's pretty good. Has more than, you know, one option, which I feel is super nice. Anyway, getting into some other things. I know some people have been asking me about optimization and stuff like that. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do that video yet. I may work on that just for New Year's, just because. But to give you guys a TLDR, there's a few things that you can do, like right now. I would recommend downloading the DirectX 9 files directly from like the Star Wars forum post. I could link you it, but I think it'd just be easier for you guys to like use like official forums, like official things, like so you don't feel like you're getting sus links or downloading sus things. I don't want you guys to feel like you can't trust it, if that makes sense. So just look up Star Wars 64-bit DirectX 9 in the official problems list for the 64-bit. Jackie actually went out of her way and linked that DirectX 9 files. Actually helps. This is something I've recommended to download ever since like last expansion, and even as far as using Vulkan last expansion. But now that we have 64-bit, there's no need for Vulkan, and I'm pretty sure Vulkan doesn't even work correctly anymore. Which always led me to a question: is like why I never went with like full Vulkan support, because it's like our only cross compatibility that it even worked in the first place. But basically, once you download that, you would install it somewhere. So just make like a folder in your documents, install it, extract the files obviously first, and then install it. And once you have it installed, the first time you launch Star Wars, it's going to be pretty laggy, but afterwards it's going to be a little bit better. And shadows in general, especially enhanced shadows, it's going to start performing a lot better than what it used to. And this will work for any tier system. It doesn't mean like, oh, my dinosaur PC, this won't help. Yeah, it actually will help a lot, so definitely do that. Emulation is not perfect, and that's why it works. Newer versions of DirectX have to emulate the old versions, and it's not very good. So if you just have the direct files on hand, you can basically get better performance. Now that this video is going on for almost 14 minutes, I'm actually like, okay, maybe we don't have much more to talk about. But DirectX 9, definitely get that. Maybe I'll make a video just dedicated to it, because I know I did reinstall everything recently, and I can basically tell you everything that I did personally. There is one thing to keep in mind: that I do have 5800X AMD. That's a pretty good chip. It also boosts up to 5100 megahertz, or gigahertz, I mean, not megahertz. Megahertz would have been a little sus, wouldn't be able to play anything. I think computers used to be like way worse than that in the beginning. That is not like the best, obviously, but it's still very good. That obviously plays a huge role. And then I also have a 3070, just a regular one, EVGA overclock edition, but I don't have like an insane overclock. I think I have like a 121 to my clock. So it's not like super fast or crazy. So those settings, for example, like if you had stock system that was similar to mine, you could see similar performance. And also I do have 32 gigabytes of RAM, running at 3600 megahertz. I think it is megahertz. and that's I think it was C16 or CL16 or whatever. So that's pretty good too. RAM speed does matter, and even more so single core performance matters. So it's definitely something to like take into account. And then there's a couple other miscellaneous things you can do, like so for example, turn game mode on your computer, make sure Star Wars is recognized as a video game and put it in high power like consumption. Change your power setting modes to at least like balanced or optimized performance, or like prefer maximum performance. Those things will be drastic for performance increases. Having like power saver on is not a good idea. Make sure your maximum processor state is at 100% and not like 90 or 95 or 80. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help.